Hi, my name is Mike Matazinski. I'm a husband, a father, and a hand tool woodworker. I started talking to Pastor Sam at the men's retreat, and we were discussing our background, and his was construction and mine was furniture making. And I discussed how I sort of got into woodworking. When my wife and I got back from Iraq, we both served in the Army. When we got back from Iraq, we had severe anxiety that we were dealing with. And I ended up self-medicating with opiates, and I got severely addicted. I thought I was just fine, and I thought that I was successful in the world, and I realized that I was just successful at hiding my addiction on the surface. And it wasn't until I hated myself enough to the point where I became suicidal. And I remember the day, I no longer feared killing myself. And that is what scared me. And when I went to treatment, I was reintroduced to the loving aspects of Christ. I realized that I was worthy of love. And in fact, I was taught how to pray in a meditative format. And in that experience, I was spoken to. But it wasn't with words. I was shown this vision, and I was filled with an unexplainable, immeasurable amount of love that it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. Through this process of getting clean, I discovered old school hand tool woodworking. Hand tool woodworking is, the best way I can describe it is I try not to use any electricity, and I use antique tools to create beautiful pieces of furniture. I just use a mallet and a chisel and a hand plane and a back saw and a hand saw. It's joining wood together in the same way Jesus did when he walked the earth. I have to read the grain, and I have to get to know this piece of wood at a far deeper level than if I was using a machine, because a machine tends to force the wood to its will. Whereas with hand tools, I have to work with the wood, where the wood actually gets a say in what it's going to end up being. The beauty's in the wood, and I'm just bringing that to the surface. So I feel that through hand tool woodworking, God gets a say in what the piece is going to be. People ask me all the time, especially in the shop that I have my day job at, why do I use hand tools when it's so much faster to use a machine? And I usually just tell them, like, you're not engaging with your project. You're just getting through it. So many times people say the cliche statement that life is a journey and it's not the end. Well, it's a cliche for a reason, because it's true. By utilizing hand tools instead of machines, I actually get to enjoy the journey, and I actually get to see all these fine details that I would miss, which I think it's not just fun, it's something that helps me feel alive. I find that there's not as much fun in rushing through it. At the shop, people tend to use machines because they can get it done faster. And if you can get things done faster, there's more profit. But using hand tools, the goal isn't profit. The goal is to make the absolute best piece that I can. It's not about getting paid. It's just about making something that didn't exist before. Because we're co-creators with Christ. We're not just here to fall in line with whatever the new thing is. Sometimes the old way is the best way. I wanted to make a preaching table for Artisan first because it's an amazing project. I wanted to make it because I wanted to give something of myself, not just money. I wanted to give something that I poured my entire self into. I didn't lose a part of myself in giving it. I gave a part of myself. In giving a part of myself away, I gained more of myself back. I always like to hide biblical verses in every piece that I make. And in this particular piece, I did put Psalms 46:10. For me, it's one of the most impactful verses because it reminds me to consistently do the same thing over and over, which is to be still and know that I am God. And that verse is stamped in to the underside of the shelf. So you don't see it, but it's in there. Just like you don't see God physically, but God's in everything.
Come on. And here's the table. Look at this beautiful piece of craftsmanship. Incredible. Incredible. There's something so valuable about story, about our journeys, about our lives. And when you share it, there's a connection. There's something valuable that you can receive from that. And obviously, you can tell why I was captivated at men's retreat in my conversation with Michael going, man, we're going to tell this story. And it's pretty cool when you've been on a journey and getting to partner with Michael, and he was designing it, and we were talking about it. What would this look like? And all the different iterations, and saying, we're going to take our time, and he's going to take his time on this. And then watching as it just came about is so beautiful. And then hearing the connection to the bigger story in his life about the difference between going to a substance, going to something else to sort of get away from life, or actually slowing things down and finding value in it. And so Michael's story and his testimony that he was so brave in sharing with everybody in our church is going to be a backdrop for our conversation today. And this really is an opportunity where I want to talk really from the heart, because this is so much about what Artisan is focused on. This is something that as a church family, we want to actually move towards, be focused on, and live according to. And the verse I want to read, we're going to open up with a text. I love starting off with scripture. We're going to read out of Proverbs chapter 3 all the way from verse 1 to verse 6. If you want to turn in your Bibles, you can. And we're going to read this. My son, do not forget my teaching. This is from one generation to the next generation. But let your heart keep my commandments for length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you. Right away here, why are we reading this text? Length of days and years of life. This is not wisdom on how to get into heaven. This is not wisdom on just how to get saved. This is wisdom on how to live. Can I remind you, church, that the Bible has a lot more to say about what you do in the middle than where we're going to arrive at. Why do we have so many questions about heaven? Because we don't have all the answers in Scripture. Why do we, right? There's so much there. How to get saved is very clear. Heaven has some details, but not all of it. But the bulk of Scripture is how do we live our days? How do we live our years? How do we approach life? He says, let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and man. Do you know the Bible cares about how you come across the people? It cares deeply about how you affect the world around you. Do you know the Scripture encourages us on how to live, on how to approach our life? We're going to find favor. And then trust in the Lord with all your heart. You know this part. And lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He's going to make your paths straight. See, we isolate this ending and sort of throw it out there as some sort of tagline. And yet, the author here is describing how to apply wisdom to life, that this matters in your days, this matters in your years, this matters for God, this matters for man, this matters in your life. But for many people, we've mistakenly boiled the Christian life down to two moments that only matter. It's just salvation and death. Death, we get to go be with God, and we have to get people saved. And thank God for an evangelistic spirit that needs to rise up in the church to say, we got to reach people, we got to save the lost. But the issue is when we get overly focused on just pushing sort of this idea of penal substitutionary atonement theory. There's a penalty that needs to get paid. Jesus paid it for you. Raise your hand, get saved, you're good. When our obsession is on that moment alone, what ends up happening is people get saved. They go, I like the message of Jesus. I believe he died on the cross for me. I see that sin is killing me. It doesn't take a genius to realize what sin does. You can figure it out on your own. Eventually you go, wow, sin really hurts me. It makes me sick. It leads me to death. It breaks my relationships up. It hurts everybody around me. Sin is really destructive. You can come to that realization. You can accept Jesus as your only hope to this problem of sin. Repent. But then what? Right? Then what? What now? Is that it? Now I just sort of exist until I can get to the destination that is heaven. I just got to put my head down. Just pretend the world isn't broken, pretend people aren't in pain, just sort of get through life, do the best I can. There's got to be more to life than that. I don't know about you, but that idea was not attractive to me. I'm like, I want to serve a God. Is there a God who cares about today? Is there a God that wants to meet me in my process right now? And see, it's so easy in life to sort of start feeling stuck, isn't it? Like we sort of get stuck in this rhythm. We sort of get stuck in these sort of escapes or these things we run to. Every single one of you walked into church this morning in the middle of a process. And many processes all at once that are forming who you are right now. You're being shaped by them. You are a product of a lot of decisions you've made and decisions that people have made that have affected you. You are a product of processes that you have walked through and you came in. Why do you often hear in worship, you might hear Pastor Brittany say things like, I don't know what you walked in here with. We don't know. Nobody but you fully, even your spouse doesn't fully understand the process that you've been walking through. You are a product of all these processes and journeys and moments and people. And the tension is we can start to feel overwhelmed by life. I believe God's real. The message of Jesus is cool. I see that sin kills me, but I'm stuck. I'm stuck in an addiction. I'm stuck in a cycle. I'm stuck in a negative process. I'm stuck in a job I don't think I was supposed to take. I'm stuck in this broken relationship. I'm stuck. Have you ever been stuck? You ever been stuck financially? You ever been stuck relationally? You ever been physically just really stuck before? It's frustrating. I don't know if there's anything more vulnerable than being stuck. You're like, I am not in a position of strength right now. I am stuck. Maybe you, like me, and you've gotten your feet stuck at the bottom of a mucky river, and you're like, this is freaky. I'm stuck. I don't know. I need help to get out. Maybe you've gotten stuck in a car before. Maybe you went off-roading where you shouldn't have, and you got stuck. Maybe you found yourself stuck trying to crawl through a tight space. Those are the worst ones. You ever getting wedged somewhere and you're stuck inside exploring? My wife, 2 years ago, there was a blizzard and the school chose to not give an early release. Everyone knew the blizzard was coming. Everyone was saying it was coming, and they didn't give an early release. And so my wife had to drive to pick up during this whiteout blizzard that came out of nowhere. How many of you know if they cancel school, it won't snow? And if they keep school on, it absolutely snows. I feel for the educators. They can't win, right? They're just guessing. This is one of those moments to school, just being honest, they got it wrong. They should have let our kids out early. Because here's my wife driving through this blinding blizzard. And if you're from Minnesota, you know often what it's like to be in a ditch in a snowy condition. Have you ever been in a snowy ditch before? Anybody ever been in a snowy ditch? Come on, let's all relate here, okay? If you're not raising your hand, you're a better driver than me, and you're safer. But my wife, she was in this absolute whiteout blizzard, and it was one of those ditches where, one of those moments you can't see the lane, and the ditch sort of pulled her in. How many know it can suck you in? And so she calls me, she's like, I'm stuck, the car's fine, I wasn't going that fast, but I got sucked into this ditch, and she's got an SUV, it's got all-wheel drive, didn't matter. They say all-wheel drive, and then you watch those tires spin, you're like, this is not good all-wheel drive. That got sold on something, Nissan, I'm gonna talk to somebody. And she's stuck in the ditch, and she calls me, she's like, I need your help, and I'm like, I'm coming, babe. How many of you, I'm this way, I get a hero complex real quick. I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm going to handle this ditch. If I got to lift that SUV out with my bare hands, I'm going to pull that like there's no problem. And while I'm getting this hero complex going, I hear on the call, she goes, oh, a tow truck just pulled up. I'm going to have him pull me out. So hold on, you got to get prices first. Ask first what they're going to charge. So this tow guy comes up, and I hear the conversation. He goes, it's $150 right now, but it's $250 if I have to come back. And I remember my blood started to boil. I'm like, is he manipulating my wife who's in need? What kind of jerk says that? I go, you tell him to leave right now. Your husband's got this. I'm going to handle this issue. Like, you get him out of there. Like, I'm not paying that man a cent. He wants to manipulate you, taking advantage. Whew. And so I show up on the scene, and immediately my heart sinks because she is really stuck. I'm like, I should have paid the $150. Well, he was here. So I start digging, I'm shoveling, I'm doing everything, trying to get her out. And I was not strong enough nor capable enough to dig out her from this situation. Then all of a sudden I'm thinking, we're going to have to call this guy. We're going to have to pay $250. But then a dude pulls up in a big old truck. This is a nice big old Ford F-350. You know it. It's the one in the parking lot that always has to back into the parking spots. You know the guy. He's the guy that's flying by you on 65. But when you're stuck in a ditch, you love this guy. He's a hero in this moment. Like, you might be annoying in parking lots. You might be annoying blowing by me on the highway. But today, you're my best friend. And we hooked up chains, and we pulled Renee out of the ditch. Car was not touched. He didn't charge me a dime. Come on, favor ain't fair, people. Sometimes the Lord shows up. But I remember just feeling so helpless. I'm standing in a blizzard on the side of the road. My wife's car is stuck. I had a little sedan at the time, and I'm like, if I'm not careful, I'm going to be stuck. But thank God for somebody who would come and pull us out of the ditch with some real 4x4. Come on, man, where are you at with your real 4x4? This is your moment. You're the hero. You're the hero. We all know we need you in our lives. There's nothing worse, though, than that feeling. If you've had a moment, you can relate. You'll say, I feel like it's out of my hands and I can't do anything about it. And for many of us, our process we're in right now might have us feeling a little trapped, feeling a little stuck. Maybe you found yourself in a pattern or a rhythm that has literally sucked you into a ditch. And you're going, man, if I'm being honest, Pastor Sam, I don't know that I'm going about this whole life thing right. Like, I'm saved, I love Jesus, but like, I'm in some problems right now. I am stuck at the moment. And so today, with the backdrop of Michael's testimony, with the view of this beautiful handcrafted podium, I want to preach on this idea of what does it look like to handcraft our lives intentionally. What does it look like to actually approach our life with the type of intentionality that we bring an artisan mentality to how we approach our processes, our lives, and our steps? And I'm going to do it through the lens of 3 questions. I've got 3 questions that I will not answer for you. You will need to answer these questions today. The first question is, what are you forcing? What are you forcing? I love in Michael's story how he talked about when people be like, why hand tools? Like, why hand tools? Like, you could do it so much more efficient, quicker. There's another way. Don't you know the other way to do this? And he's going, actually, but when you take power tools, you're forcing and you're bending the wood to your will. You're not a co-creator. You're making it do what you want. And it's so interesting. This table right now is the smoothest I've ever felt wood. If you closed your eyes and touched it and you ran your hand along it, you would think it is literally like a quartz countertop. It is that kind of smooth. And I want to ask, why is it this smooth, Michael? He's like, it's because we're not He's not doing rough power sanders that are messing up the grain. He's working with the grain, hand planing it. How many of you guys are wanting to touch this table right now? I can see it in your eyes. You're like, can I rub it? Is that allowed? And if you need to after service, you can rub the tabletop and you can feel the beauty of it, how smooth it is, and the oil and all the beautiful things. But there's not this forcing. It's not a bending to a will. It's bringing out its proper design. You see the difference? Isaiah chapter 64 verse 8 says, yet you, Lord, are our Father. We are the clay, you are the potter. We are all the work of your hands. Ephesians 2:10, for we are God's handiwork. We are his handiwork, creating Christ Jesus to do good works. My wife Renee will even talk more about this verse at Welcome Home Lunch, this idea that collectively we make up his handiwork. But God prepared those things in advance for us to do. Honestly, the idea of an artisan church doesn't quite work without this verse. This idea that you are his handiwork, you were knit together in your mother's womb, and he's got good works which he prepared in advance for us to do. Essentially, he's the potter, you are the clay. You didn't get to determine your proper use. We can spend our whole lives trying to tell God how we want to be used, or we can allow him to form us. You know, when I mentor and get the opportunity, I love it. I absolutely love working with young people. I still have a passion for it, even though I'm not a youth pastor anymore, and young leaders that are trying to figure out their life. And how many of you know young adults have a propensity for asking advice on decisions they've already made? Right? Like, hey, what's your thought on my new girlfriend? Well, you're already dating her. Like, what do you mean? Like, you already made the decision. Hey, what do you think? Should I have taken this new job? You already took the job. Like, you're already doing it. Like, what do you want? Applause or do you want advice? For many of us, we do the same thing with God. We're like, God, I just made this beautiful plan. Will you bless it? God, I just made this beautiful process. Will you sign off on it? God, I know the plans I have for Sam Grosso. What do you think, God? Are my plans good? We start to make our plans and ask God to bless it rather than to make our plans according to what God is blessing. This idea of the potter and the clay, I got a firsthand really cool moment this last week. We actually, Renee and the kids and I, we went up, visited my grandparents, we went down to Rochester and visited my grandparents. And my grandma is a potter. She, in retirement, has gotten really passionate about it. She's gotten really good. And she makes all kinds of things and goes and does these shows and sells them and whatever else. Similar to Michael, she's like, I don't sell it to make a profit. I sell it to give purpose to this, because otherwise what do I do with she just loves it. She loves making and creating, and I think there's something beautiful. And we're watching her do this, and we're asking questions, and we're watching as she's forming it. And Renee asked, like, did you already decide what it was going to be? And she's like, well, you kind of have to take each lump of clay, and as you form it, you start to discover what it's supposed to be. You start to discover its purpose. And we watched her as she formed this clay on her spinning wheel. We're going, wow, she's forming it into a desired use, a purpose. And on her shelf, there's birdhouses, charcuterie trays, plates, there's cups, there's glasses, there's mugs, there's all kinds of things that she could form it into for a variety of uses. How many of you guys are like, I'll buy some, that sounds amazing, sign me up. And she's forming it. Now, she's determining the use. She's forming the clay into its proper use. And Scripture's telling us we're the clay. But we'd way rather sometimes, or we think we'd rather be the potter. I'll shape it. I'll figure it out. Let me determine how to use my body. Let me determine how to use my voice. Let me determine how to use my hands. Let me determine what my soul is supposed to do. Let me figure out my purpose, and then I'll get back to you, God. But the problem is once we start to figure this out or attempt to determine the plans that we have for ourselves, the purposes we start to force things according to our will. We start to do it our way, start to force it. It's the way of the world. You want something, force it to happen. Make it happen. Go get it. Go do it. Go run after it. Force it, force it, force it. But I don't know about you, but when I force things, I tend to break things. I am a breaker of things. When they don't fit the way they should, I'm getting a hammer out. Like I'm getting something heavy. I'm going to force this will fit, right? And we can start to get into this forcing mode. What I find is that a forced life often ends up being a broken life. That when you force your life, force your use, force what you want to get out of it, what you want to do, you determine it. When you don't choose to be that co-creator with God, and you say, I'm going to force this, it often leads to a breaking. And we end up in a position and in a process that's damaging. It's damaging to your very being. Thank God that he's also a restorative God. Thank God that he's still got purpose. Thank God that the gifts and calling of God are irrevocable. So if you've drifted from them, you can always get back to them. But I believe that God is not calling us to force our will on ourselves, but we are to align with God. What is my proper use? How did you design me? How did you make me? The challenge is for all those that believe there's no way that you're not a mistake, though. If you see, well, there's no way somebody would intentionally make me. If you devalue yourself, if you believe you should be anything other than what you are, if you always lack confidence, if you're constantly looking at yourself with hatred, and you're devaluing the creation of the way God made you, can I tell you, Scripture's telling us you're not a mistake. Scripture's telling us you were made intentionally. Scripture's telling us that you've got a purpose. Scripture's telling us that you are incredible. You are amazing, that he made you. So we can spend all of our time trying to force ourselves and our lives and our bodies to be something we were never made to be, or we can take some time and start to peel back the layers of God. Will you show me what you made me to hold? Will you show me how you crafted me together? Will you show me how you knit me together? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? I'm going to trust you with my plans and my purpose. The next question that builds off the first one, usually when we're forcing things, we're rushing things. The second question is, what are you rushing? Again, if speed's the goal, there's a lot of shortcuts you can take to speed things up. Have you ever experienced this? There's shortcuts, there's speedier ways to do things, but often the end result has significantly less value, right? You can reproduce the Mona Lisa. Why does it not have the same value? Because of the time, the effort that it took for the original painter to take that time and actually put that piece together, the value of the hand that made the original. We can rush things, but you're going to devalue yourself. Again, Proverbs 3, 1-2, my son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you. I want length of days. Some of you guys, you hear length of days and you're scared by it. You're like, dear God, please no. I do not want longer days. My days are long enough. They are a grind. They are long. It is hard. All I can think about is the moment I finally put the kids to bed and I can make myself a treat. All I can think about is when I clock out and I don't have to have that demeaning boss lording over me all day. All I can think about is getting through my days. And so we rush them. But we're also devaluing ourselves in the process. God actually wants to meet you in the middle. He wants to meet you in the hard times. He wants to meet you in the process. Our world is obsessed with destinations. Destination obsession. Well, I just want to arrive. I just want to get there. I just want to get there. I want to skip the process. I want to get past it. I definitely don't even care about enjoying the journey. This is one of the reasons we do love what road trips remind us of. If you plan a good road trip, you know a good road trip is a big loop. So there's no singular destination. Because otherwise you arrive, and then how many know you resent the drive home? You're like, oh, now we got to drive home. The best road trips are one big circle where you're finding new adventures the whole way through. There's no singular destination. You never know when you're going to find the next moment of value or special encounter or incredible thing. And you get to see the different nature, right? It's a road trip mentality with life. We're not trying to get to a singular destination. Have you ever arrived at a spot that you thought was going to be really significant, really amazing, and you're like, oversold? They oversold it. It's commercial. It's one big junky commercial, right? Usually the thing, come on, that's Wall Jug, people. We saw Wall Jug. Wall Jug is one big commercial, right? You see 1,000 signs the whole way. Hey, come on, give us a head nods. People have driven out through South Dakota. You see 1,000 signs, so you can't not stop. You're like, I gotta see it. There's a lot of posters, and you're like, wow, it's just a bunch of stuff that I can spend my money on. Like, that's all it is that has no real value. But we want to go through life. I don't want a singular destination. There's so much value the whole way. Do you know how to see the value in the process? Do you know how to see the value each day? Or are you rushing through life? Are you just trying to get it done quickly? Come on, I just had this moment yesterday. I've got a great barber. He's a part of our church. Mateo cuts my hair. He does a great job. He takes time. He handcrafts my haircut. Come on, he's going slow, and it's kind of like this just really cathartic experience. I'm not going to lie. And he gets the fade just right, takes his time. And I failed to get, I wasn't able to get to his barbershop this week, and I was like at 8 weeks without a haircut, had to get a fade. So when you're in a pinch, you go to Sports Clips. Sports Clips in Blaine had a long wait list. You just jump on the wait list. You don't need an appointment. And I jumped in. There's a room full of about 12 guys. There's only 2 barbers, and they are just cranking us through. I mean, this is speed. They're basically getting out a hedge trimmer. I mean, they're just flying. I've never had such a fast haircut in my life. I think I was 10 minutes in the seat. Just like my head was getting hot. I don't even know why. Like he was going, like I'm warm. I'm like, I'm stressed. Like there's no conversation. There's nothing happening. I'm like, I'm sorry that I came. You know what I mean? You feel like you just need to apologize. Like, I am so sorry I brought you service today. Like how much do you want to be tipped? Like I'll do it. Like I'll just give it to you, please. 2 totally different experiences. And gonna be honest, it's not quite the same haircut. It's not the same quality. It's not even what I asked for. Got the job done, though. I'd rather have the person who goes, man, I value my craft. Let's make this a moment. Let's have some conversation. Let's calm you down in the seat. Let's not rush this. Why are we rushing this? Why do we rush everything in life? We rush meals. How quickly can we do it? We rush interactions. We rush conversations. We're rushing through life, and it is killing us. It's actually killing us. Think about the idea of a rush, right? A rush is temporary euphoria. This idea of like, I want to get a rush. I just want to get, and for many of us, the process gets so hard. We're just trying to find something that'll give us either a rush or just help us just to pull away for a moment. You know, and Michael shared, who's so willing and so brave to share that after going through a season that brought on a lot of anxiety, that he went to an addiction. Something that would give him that rush, to give him that availability, just to pull away, just to do it. And for many of us, we're rushing through the middle just to get to the end of something that will give us just a little bit of sedation, a little bit of a break, a little bit of rest, just a little bit of a moment to pull away and to escape. We are not called to escape this life. We are not called to just try to get as quickly as we can to a moment that pulls us away. I think God's very intentional that he makes sure that the only thing that lasts is his Spirit. Alcohol doesn't last. Drugs don't last. Netflix doesn't last. Food doesn't last. There's nothing you can go to. Literally the rush of extreme sports doesn't last. Adrenaline rushes don't last. Dopamine rushes don't last. Rushes don't last. They're all temporary. And God's going, there's only one thing. There's only one thing that's going to last. And you're not going to find it by rushing. In fact, what I want you to slow down. I believe that we're called to not just get through the process, but to actually engage in the process. You are on a journey, and it's beautiful. You are on the path. Keep enjoying the journey. Life, like Michael said, is not just about the destination. It is about the journey. As the keys come up, I got one more question. What are you focused on? So we force, then we rush, and then our focus is obsessed with the destination, the thing we're trying to get to. We're trying to get through so much. We're trying to get to something, and so we rush, we force, we get ourselves in the spot, and our focus drifts. I love the verse that's engraved in this table. Psalms 46:10, be still Be still. It's hidden. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Be still and know. Do you know, like really know, that he's God? The psalmist is suggesting that if you're not taking time to be still, you're going to forget. You're going to forget what he's the God of. You're going to forget that he's your creator. You're going to forget the plans he has for you. You're going to forget why you serve him. You're going to forget why he's worth it. You're going to forget that he loves you. That he loves you as you are. That he made you. That you're not a mistake. You're going to forget that you're not a mistake. You're going to forget his plans. You're going to make your own plans. Be still. Corrie ten Boom was quoted as saying, if the devil can't make you sin, he will make you busy. He will take your focus off of God and put it on anything else. The tension with this is how many of you know you can be busy with so much good that God's not a part of? This is where it becomes a little more difficult. For those who are further along in their discipleship with Jesus, you know often that the busyness that comes didn't come from an evil place in your heart. But often it comes from a plan, though, that you made apart from God. It seemed good in the mind of you, a man. Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it's the purpose of the Lord that will stand. Seemed good. Made my plans. Figuring this out. I didn't make it for evil, but it's your plans. You're out of alignment because your focus is on the destination that you're trying to arrive at. Human nature, once you pick a destination, you want to find the quickest route to it. Come on, when I heard how many years of education you need to become a doctor, I was like, nope. No. No chance. I do not like school enough. I can't do it. Wrong field of choice for me. And when you see the journey, when you see it, you can see the destination, you're like, I want quick results. I want to get there quickly. How do I get there fast? It's human nature. So when you make a plan, you make a destination, you're just going to try to get there as quickly as possible. But when God drops something in our heart, it's not about the destination. The journey comes into play. So we don't want to just get busy with good things that are not God things. It's actually sin. It's sin. Oh, we had to sign our kids up for 5 sports. Everyone else is doing it. Had no choice. We got to go to those things. There's peer pressure. There's this. We got to show up. What is the thing that's making you so busy? You're probably complaining about it to everybody around you. Oh, we're just so busy. We're just so busy. We're just so busy. It has your attention. It has your focus. Can I tell you, church, distraction is a thief of your devotion. Devil's getting you distracted. Lots of good. Lots of good. But not necessarily God things. And the distraction's killing the devotion. John Mark Comer, a pastor, preacher, author out of the Pacific Northwest, he said this. Because what you give your attention to is the person you become. Attention, focus. Put another way, the mind is the portal to the soul, and what you fill your mind with will shape the trajectory of your character. Here we get a great summary sentence. In the end, your life, church, is no more than the sum of what you gave your attention to. Your life is the sum of your attention. It's a bold statement. He's basically taking, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, and going way deeper with it. He's like, where you are focused, that's what you're becoming. Where your attention is, there your heart is. Where your focus is, it's actually becoming who you are. I wonder, church, can God get your focus as you live your life? Are you still giving him the same focus you did as when you were first saved? If God wanted to speak to you on your process, your journey, your life, your work, can he? Does he have your ear? Are you listening? Does he have your attention? Are you focused on God? Let's just be honest about attention. Our attention is drawn by our desires. The things that we want, we focus on until we can get them. Our desires. So our attention is an indicator of whether or not we actually desire God. If I don't give him attention, I don't desire him. If I desire God, I'm going to give him attention. If you desire your spouse, you're going to give them attention. If you desire your friend, you're going to give them attention. Let me put it even a little bit more succinctly. You cannot love what you ignore. You can't. Do not argue with me that you love me if you ignore me. Don't even try. Don't even try. Have you ever had that moment where you realize the relationship has become one-sided and you've been ignoring somebody? Usually you end up apologizing, man, I lost sight of this. You cannot love what you ignore. Are you ignoring God? Is he actually first? Does he have your attention? But are you forcing and rushing so much through life that you can't even focus on him? Or are you creating space? So you see, handcrafted faith can be a painstaking process, but it's a labor of love. And it gives full honor to your Creator. Saying, God, I want to hear your voice. I want to create space, and I want to live my life according to your will. I actually want my plans to align with Scripture. I just wonder, church, do you actually believe that if you followed God's word and discovered his will for your life, that you would be the happiest, healthiest version of yourself? I actually do. Literally, the moment I stop believing in that statement, I have to stop preaching. It is the driving force behind why I build church, is because I actually believe that God's plans for your life are so much better than you could ever dream, think, or imagine for yourself. I believe this at the core of who I am, and I believe it because the closer I get to his plans, the better my life gets. That's my testimony. I just want to get in alignment with how I was made. I want to be used properly. I don't want to determine my use. I don't want to determine what I'm supposed to hold. I shouldn't even use the word want, because I still want to go do things my way. The desire's still there. It comes up, it rears its ugly head up, and I want to go do anything sometimes but build church, give my whole life to a community of faith. Sometimes the idea comes up and I'd way rather take all this effort, all this time, go build a business that would actually give me an inheritance for my kids. Right? I'm building something that I can't hand over. It belongs to all of us. It's a collective. My whole life's work is completely a group thing. There's moments where the devil can attack those things and go, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I'm going, yes, because God made me this way. I was designed to do this. I was born to do this. I'm going to stay the course, and I'm going to love the process. And even when people are cruel and critical and negative, I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to take those thoughts captive because I'm called, and I'm going to live according to the calling, and I'm going to stay the course, and I'm going to stay true to it. And I want to be faithful like Daniel, like we preached last week. And I want to give my attention to the things that God is telling me to give my attention to. And I want to focus on those things with boldness. And more than anything, I just don't want to ignore God. I don't want to ignore his voice. I want to create space where I can hear from him. And church, I believe this. God is not ignoring you. Don't ignore him. If there's a distance between you and God, I'm so sorry. I believe this theologically. If there's a gap, it's on you. Every time there's been a gap between me and God, it's never been God. It's been me. I've been focusing on the wrong things. I've been rushing and I've been forcing. Doing things my way, at my speed, my timeline. Just being honest, God has never done anything in my life as quickly as I want him to. Not one. Not once. Isn't that crazy? I'm in my mid-30s. Not once has he done it at the speed I want it. Everything's been a longer process than what I initially desired. And then I look back and I go, I wouldn't change it a bit. I wouldn't do it a day quicker. Wow, God, you knew exactly what to do. God fully loves you. Give him your focus. He made you. He knows how to use you. And yeah, you got to work through the mire of your emotions and your desires and your feelings and your wants and all of that. But can I remind us, God can handle the mess. Give it to him. Give him your focus. Give him your attention. Give him your love. And let's approach this life of faith God's way. Amen? And I believe that the end result is going to look a little something like this table with character unique pieces, knots that are natural, but beautiful. Whew. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, we pause. We breathe. Calm our hearts. We still our minds. We don't need to work up into some type of emotional fervor or frenzy right now. We can just calmly and boldly approach your throne. You gave us that permission in your word. And we know, Jesus, you're seated at the right hand of the Father, that you're interceding for us, and that you want to be involved in our process. So God, we bring it to you. We invite you in. Whatever we're dealing with, if it's work things, if it's relational things, if it's family things, if it's money things, whatever's going on, God, we actually believe you care about the middle. You're not just so focused on the destination, on these arrivals, these positions, these platforms that we want to find ourselves at. But God, you want to meet us right in the middle. So meet us where we're at. Help us to answer these questions honestly and faithfully, so we can move forward in our relationship with you and in the unlocking and the discoveries of our purposes. How we were designed, how we were made, what we were meant to do with our lives, God. We want your plans, not ours. Your purpose, not ours. Your will, not ours. We love you, God. And everybody in the house of love Jesus said, Amen. Why don't you stand to your feet? And I want to invite the prayer teams to come forward.